Hey guys, Kurt from Time Machine Transport. Just heading out to the shop. Saturday, feeling lazy today, so have to go out there and finish power washing underneath my truck. I took off all the furnace. I'm going to do a video on how to do replace your sending unit in your fuel tank for your fuel gauge. Anyways, so I'm talking to my brother Stevie K last night. Hi brother, what's up? I love you. And he says he likes my stories, or as I call them, my truths. So here's a couple truck driving stories or truths. So at this time I driven for a Russian. We got our trucking authority in 2014. So it was either 2013 or 2014. And he had either I can't remember if we had a step deck or a flatbed at the time. Regardless, or irregardless, as my wife hates when people say that. So hi baby girl, I love you. So regardless, I have and this, and not to get off foreigners, but if you have several trucks or whatever, they just want the trucks to be rolling down the road. They don't really care if you got the fancy headache racks or the boxes, and that's why what we do with flatbed and chaining and strapping and tarping, you should have a nice headache rack, or at least a headache rack. He did have headache racks, but it was the open type where you just hang your chains and your binders, and there was like a middle cabinet to put your straps, but nothing on the trailer. So anyways, and I get that. I mean, it costs money. I mean, who cares about drivers? I do, because obviously I drive. So anyways, get to the story, Kurt. Get to the truth. So I'm in California. So like I said, 2013, 2014. It's at night. I had already delivered, and I was going down towards LA because I had another pickup the next day. And I want to say it was on a weekend, or a Friday night maybe, because there was a lot of traffic. And so I'm talking to my grandmother on the phone. Rest in peace, Grandma. She died last year, 101. Long life. Anyways, her and I would talk often. So driving, heading south. I was either on I-5 or Highway 99. Either way, both very busy, and they got a lot of areas where you can pull off. Like if you have a flat tire or you have a situation, a lot of big areas where you can pull off in dirt roads and everything like that, or dirt like E-lanes or whatever, like large parking areas for trucks. And so anyways, I'm driving, talking to Grams, and all of a sudden I hear this noise, and so I got to back up. When I first went through getting my CDL at a truck driving, so I went to Swift. I know, shame on me. To get my CDL, I didn't stay there. I left, I was in a truck with a trainer for like 6 weeks, and then I was like, dude, I got to get out of this truck before I put my hands on you. Anyways, so I don't know what the hell I just mentioned. Driving or getting my CDL from Swift. I don't know what it was leading into the stories. Maybe I'll remember. Anyways, so so my trainer, Larry Tolbert, this guy was nuts. I remember him wanting me to drive without shoes as a new driver, okay? And I wasn't comfortable with that. I believe you should be wearing shoes when you're driving a car, a semi, whatever. And he wanted me to drive with no shoes. I said, not that I didn't want to look like I was going against the trainer. So I was like, well, that's not really company policy. He goes, fuck company policy. And so I did it. I tried it, didn't like it. And Larry Tolbert had told me, Kurt, you have to be one with the truck. You have to be one with the truck. And I'm like, dude, you need to get the fuck out of this truck, because you're talking craziness. Little did I know, you do become one with your equipment. You know noises, you know sounds, you know if something's squeaking, something's humming, if it's not shifting right, if you're heavy, if you're light, You know, you could tell all kinds of stuff if I know I'm sound crazy if you are one with your equipment. So shame on me. Anyways, talking to Grams and I hear this boom, it was not a good sound. And I look in my mirror and I see smoke, but there's a lot of traffic behind me, and it's at night, so everybody's got their headlights on, so I can see from the headlights behind me from the light that something's smoking on the truck. And so I pull over 4 ways on a big dirt area, pull over, and I'm on the phone with Grandma, like, I gotta go. She goes, okay, honey, blah, blah, blah. So I jump out of the truck, and because the Russian didn't have, you know, a lot of toolboxes, I had to strap which I don't have to do now because we have ample storage, but I had to strap my tarps on my upper deck, or on my deck floor if it was a flat, but I can't remember which one it was. But anyways, I look up and I see that I'm missing a tarp, and the strap is just laying on the deck. And I looked at it, and it looked like it was cut. Not that it broke or not that it was loose, like it was literally cut, like straight through. I already did my pre-trip and everything because I had a load on it. I had already delivered. But shame on me, I had stopped at a truck stop, I don't know, a couple hours before that or something, and somebody cut my straps, either one, maliciously, or two, to steal my shit. So I was missing one tarp. I had 2 8-footers and 2 4-footers on the deck. And so shame on me, because if it was cut, which it seemed that way, I mean, it was a clean, straight break. So wasn't frayed, it was just cut straight through. So shame on me, because when I stopped at that truck stop, I should have did an equipment check, and I didn't. Learned a lot since then. So anyways, I'm like, what the hell? And as I'm contemplating, I'm looking around the truck and the trailer, this white little 4-door Prius pulls up next to me. And it's a couple. The dude's black and the chick's white. And the black dude, he doesn't sound black. He sounds as white as shit. I mean, is that possible, right? I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm incognito, so I have people all the time tell me that, you know, I sound like a black guy. So anyways, but this guy is Nick White, man. He is like, hey, and I'm not making fun. I'm just setting the precedence, or setting the scene, if you will. So anyways, so he's like, in the whole, like, his car's smoking. It literally, like, when it was like almost like it was dragging something, but you couldn't see because it was such a low car, and the bumper was all tore up, and the headlight was sticking out. I mean, it was like it was bad. And he's like, hey, did you hit something in the road? And at this point, I'm like, oh my God, shit. That's where my tarp went. And so I'm like, yeah, I think I hit that. And I can see, he's like, I don't know what's going on, but it's like something's underneath my car. So I can see the front or the tarp rolled up underneath this dude's car. Like, it is pinned. Like, you are not getting this fucking rolled up tarp out from underneath this Prius. And I act like I don't even know what it is. I'm like, oh, maybe that, I don't know. And he doesn't know what's underneath the car. He just knows that he hit something, but he hasn't looked under the car. But I can see it from my angle because he's standing next to the car and I'm walking up to him, and I can see his whole bumper's about tore off. His grill's all busted, his lights hanging out, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like terrified because I'm like, oh my God, CHP is gonna come, blah blah blah. I'm gonna get a citation, and I should have. But he's like, I said, man, I don't know what happened, and he didn't see my tarps or anything on the deck. Who would think, right? So I went ahead and I started putting a new strap on the 3 tarps. And I don't know I think I lost a 4-footer. It may have been an 8-footer, I can't remember. But I assume a 4-footer because they're not as round when you roll them up as an 8-footer. Because obviously 4-foot and 8-foot, double the distance, or double the height. So I want to say it was a 4-footer because that would, I mean, like the wheels were almost off the ground. Like I think you just kind of maybe slid into second base with the tarp and everything. I don't even know if he had steering controls because the tarp, it's a Prius, it's small. And it's like he couldn't even steer the vehicle. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm looking at, I don't want him to see that I see that there's a tarp underneath your fucking Prius. So he's like, yeah, I called roadside service, and I said, yeah, you probably shouldn't go anywhere because, maybe something screwed up, He's like, yeah, maybe. He says, would you have any chance, like, like some sort of straps or something so we could, and I'm doing a horrible impersonation of the guy, I'm sure, but he's a big black dude and he's talking like, like Nick White, I don't know. Anyways, so he's like, would you have something that we could strap down our broken parts with? I'm like, absolutely. So I'm thinking, so the least my ass can do is give this man some bungees to hold his broken shit that I caused. And so I said, yeah, absolutely, man. I gave him like 30. I was like, here. And he said roadside service was on its way. And I said, oh man, I'm really sorry, blah blah blah. He goes, no, it's okay, man. I whatever, and this and that, and anyway, so I get in the truck and I leave, and I had lied to the so I didn't lie. I mean, I did. I didn't tell him that I dropped it on the freaking highway, but I did tell him, hey, someone stole a tarp. They cut the strap, which still shame on me for lying. It's a sin, and but I didn't want to pay $300 for a tarp, right? Because it's my fault, so I got to pay for it. Anyways, and then here's another one. So I was driving for the Russian, and he had this raggedy ass. He had some jalopy equipment before he bought some new trucks. And there was this guy that drove for him he was a partier / alcoholic, and he had a load on his trailer, and it was an oversize. And another driver had taken my truck that I kept very clean, and it was, I know he owned it, but it was considered my truck. And I was kind of pissed off about it because I'm like, dude, you let that scumbag take my truck, it's going to be filthy by the time because I keep my shit clean. Anyways, he's like, well, he'll be back in a few days. Well, all right, whatever. So I'm at home, and I get a call, and he's like, Kurt, man, I really need your help. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And he's like, well, Jim, he said he kept, and shame on him for doing this. He said that Jim kept asking him for cash advances. So he had loaded this oversize, a baby oversize. It was like 9 feet wide. And it was sitting at the yard. And Jim was supposed to leave that night, but he didn't. That morning, because it was an oversize. But in Wisconsin, you could drive a 9-footer at night anyways. So he's like, and now he's not answering his phone. He said he asked me for like 3 or 4 cash advances, and I let him have them. And I'm like, dude, that's your first indicator that somebody's not doing what they should, right? And I'm talking from experience, because a long time ago I dibbed and dabbed. Shame on me. But anyways, so he's like, I need you to jump in his truck and take it down to California. And I'm like, fuck. And I knew right away that this guy, like, he's a dirty ass dude. Like, I smoked for a little while and cigarettes. I wasn't the kind of person that got up in the morning and had to have a cigarette right when you woke up. Like, that shit's obnoxious. It's gross. And I'm not judging any smokers, but this dude's windows were like yellow tint. I mean, he was just a complete chain smoker. Again, I'm not judging, but clean up your shit, right? And his truck was real dirty. So I went to the yard. I immediately started cleaning his truck, cleaning all the windows, but yada, yada, yada. So I leave, get to California. And here's the reason for this story, or this truth. Jim's truck was a Freightliner Columbia, and it was a true mid-roof. All of our trucks were true mid-roofs. Like, when you dress, you had to sit down on the bunk because it was too short to stand up. The cab, it was a true mid-roof. Or low roof, or whatever they want to call it. I just call it mid-roofs. So, anyways, Jim's truck has 2 fuel tanks. The Russian didn't have like fairings or anything, and you could see the complete tank. Well, right where the steps were to get up into the cab, there is this huge dent, and this is very important. There was a huge dent, like 2 feet long. I mean, it was like almost the whole entire fuel tank, and it was like a dent with a crease, like pretty large, like something that actually just ran into it. And this is important. So, get down to California, unload this oversize. It's like Friday night. Go to Ontario, California. That's a TA there, and park for the night. And Saturday morning, I get another. Oh no! I stayed there for the whole weekend. And this was probably back in like 2011-ish, maybe 2012. And so I'm at truck stop for the week. And the reason why I remember this is we used to do oversize out of a subdivision of it was like right near like Long Beach. Forget the name. It starts with an M. Anyways, we used to pick up these oversized loads from that right outside of Long Beach, these 10-foot wide oversized canopies for the big windmills. And we would run those whenever we were in California because they had a shit ton of them. And they went up to Hutchinson, Kansas. So anyways, I leave the truck stop early Monday morning to go pick up the oversized, going to Hutchinson. And I hear this like loud noise from the truck, like not normal. So all of a sudden the truck starts vibrating really bad and making this ungodly, like loud ass moaning noise. And like it had really no, it's not that it lost power, but it wasn't going as fast as it should, I guess. Which sounds weird. Anyways, so get loaded, sign up, permits, and I start running. And it's getting worse. I mean, it is so loud in the cab, and I'm not exaggerating. It is so loud in the cab, like it's almost deafening. And I didn't know jack shit about trucks back then. I mean, I just did my pre-trip and turned the ignition, and I went down the road. It's not my business. It ain't my truck. And they were in the shop all the time. Broken this, broken that. And it happens to older trucks, right? So, anyway, so I'm on I-40. Go up through Barstow. I'm on I-40 heading east. And I'm in And because the roads are I mean, they're bad. When you go from Cali into Arizona, heading eastbound, the roads are still bad. Back then, they were just like off-roading, man. Like, if you didn't have a back problem before going into Arizona from California, you definitely had a back problem coming out. So, I mean, it was just that bad. So, anyways, you know, a lot of hills. And I'm light, man. I mean, these canopies were like maybe 15,000 pounds, which some people are like, 15,000 pounds? That's it. Now, for a flatbed, obviously, it's light. So, but this truck is just, it's horrible going uphill. And that was the time I actually got pulled, and I did that on my last Truths, where the state trooper or the highway patrol in Arizona had pulled me over for speeding in a construction zone. And if you're in Arizona with an oversize, you can only do 55 miles an hour, which I did not know because I didn't read my provision sheet. Shame on me. And then in New Mexico, I was out after curfew. Well, this was the truck that I was in, and the reason why I was speeding, and shame on me, I didn't know, was because the truck was making so much noise, going so slow that when I caught a hill, man, when I was catching a downward hill, I was riding that thing out to 80, 90 miles an hour if I could, just to make up the time. And then going up the hill outside of Albuquerque, just the truck was just dog shit, man. I mean, like white dog shit. You guys ever see Step Brothers? Where it's like, I'm going to have you lick that white dog shit. And he's like, what? He's like, it's just white dog shit. But anyway, so this truck was like white dog shit. And so this was this truck. So anyway, so I get through Arizona, get through New Mexico, I get over by Tucumcari. My permit allows me to take 54, which is northeast, and you'll take 54 right into Hutchinson. So I deliver the oversize. I deadhead from Hutchinson to Kansas City, and this truck is making just this horrible ass noise, vibrating like crazy. Like I had my headset on, and it was like deafening, man. And I was like, oh my god. Oh, so anyway, so I have to back up. So in Arizona, I told the Russian, like, dude, you got to get this thing fixed, man. I said, I'm gonna end up pulling this thing in, and I'm gonna rent a car, and I quit. I'm going back home if you don't at least attempt, because he was getting new trucks and he didn't want to put any work or any money into the trucks, and rightfully so. But as a driver for a company, you know, Michael Hara, what do we say? What's up, brother? Love you. Don't make your problem my problem. Mike pulled that on me one time. We had a little falling out, but he's my buddy. Anyways, so don't make your problem my problem. So I'm pretty upset, and I'm like, dude, you need to get this thing in the shop. So he does. Get over to Kingman, shut down in Kingman, and I find a shade tree mechanic, or he does, or whatever, and he's thinking it's the turbo. And so he replaces the turbo with a used turbo just to get me back home. And so everything's cool. Puts it on, same problem. Does not resolve the issue. It's definitely not the problem. It's something else. So now I deadhead from Hutchinson. I'm at the shop right now. I'm at Hutchinson and hold on, guys, hold on. No, actually, you know what? Fuck it, I'll just park. So deadhead over to Kansas City during the day. Beautiful, beautiful day out. And I got the windows down, and it's like, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's daylight. And I'm looking in my mirrors, And I put my tarps on the back of the trailer because they needed to bring the canopy up front. So I was dead when he got me a load from a like a recovery yard, like Copart. I was picking up a box truck that was going from Kansas back to Wisconsin. And so I was heading to the recovery yard where they, put used and damaged trucks or whatever. So somebody had bought it on an auction. I'm picking it up and I'm transporting it. So I'm en route. I'm on the interstate. Forgot where exactly, but I'm in Kansas City. So I'm somewhere on the interstate in Kansas City. And I look in my mirror and I see my tarps are like glistening. And I'm like, and I see cars passing me and their windshield wipers are going and they're spraying their windshield washer fluid onto the windshield to clean it. And I'm looking in the back, I'm like, why do I have to use mine? Like, what are these guys driving into that I'm not? And I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking. I'm like, what the? And now I got to get over to this pickup, so I'm kind of squashed or crunched for time. So I'm like, what the hell, Anyways, I had got my CDL in 08 or 09, I can't remember. And this was probably like 2012-ish, something like that. So I had been driving for a little while. But I just see these tarps were glistening in the sunlight. And I see this... I see this black Lexus SUV, like the smaller ones, and the sunroof's open and the windows are open, and I see this lady, she's wearing a white, like a silky type blouse. I'll never forget this. And she's going to pass me, and I can see her looking down through the sunroof. I can see her looking down at herself, and because she's like right next to me. And she starts smelling her clothes and she's looking all over the place. And then she slows down and she looks at me and I'm like, oh shit, something's going on here. Like something ain't right. So she takes out her phone and starts taking pictures of me in the truck. And I'm like, what the? So I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. So then I see another car, and they also are taking pictures, but they're on the passenger side. And then another car comes, and they get in front of me. Now, I, at this point, still don't know what the hell's going on, but I'm like, I'm in a lot of trouble here for some reason. Now, I'm empty. I don't have the box truck on the trailer yet. I'm heading to there. So I'm like, oh, my God. So I call the Russian because now I can see that it's got to be something bad coming out of the truck. And I assume it's like coolant or like, I didn't really know much about trucks, hydraulic fluid, which, semis don't have a hydraulic line that I'm aware of, or fuel. And I'm like, did I leave a fuel cap open or something? And I'm like, so I'm on the phone with the Russian. I'm like, hey, man, I said, dude, these people are like taking pictures of the truck, man. He goes, what'd you do? I'm like, I didn't do anything, man. I said, so anyways, we're driving and they're slowing up to have me slow up because I'm right on this person's bumper. Like if they sneeze, I'm ass packing them, right? So my mouth gets all dry when I tell these truths. And, so anyway, so they're trying to slow me down, and I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And he's like, man, you need to get out of there. So I'm like, okay. So I see an off-ramp coming. Well, as soon as I see the exit, like 3/4 of a mile or whatever, I'm coming around this bend, and who's sitting right on the right-hand shoulder in the E lane? A motorcycle cop. But the motorcycle cop has another car pulled over, and that motorcycle cop has their head like in the passenger window talking to the driver. And all three of these cars are like laying on their horn. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't look, please don't look. And all I did was I waited until like the very, very, very last second when I got to the exit that I jacked on my brakes. They all kept going and I got off the interstate or got off the highway. So I boogied down a couple streets or whatever, and I get out. Sure enough, that crack, that dent, the truck vibrated so badly that it literally opened up the fuel tank. So, you know, when there's a crease in something, it's already stressed. So when you add, I mean, this, like that's, I am not over exaggerating. That's how that was for days, just shaking like that. So it had to have opened up the fuel tank. So he finds a local mechanic, get there. Now I had full tanks. I had like just filled up. So it just finally opened up this crack. So anyways, I get into the mechanic. He empties the fuel tank, turns that valve off, and then he empties the fuel tank and removes the fuel tank. And the Russian just like, let him keep the fuel. I don't care. I'm like, damn, dude, it's like 150 gallons. Anyway, so he just blocked off that tank, and I made it home. And he never, that I'm aware of, he never got a call. He never got a call. Or maybe he did, and the insurance is like, well, we don't have proof. You just have some pictures or whatever. So, but yeah, so that was pretty crazy. But that was all with that truck. When I got pulled over in Arizona for the speeding ticket, it was reduced down to a parking ticket. And then Albuquerque, or just outside of Albuquerque on the hill, where that guy was like, I'm the authority here, and he never showed up to court. But that was that truck. And so that's the reason why I try to really, really, really be up on maintenance on our equipment, because you never know what's gonna happen, right? Like I'm power washing my whole entire, who the hell is here? Oh, Chris is here. Anyways, I gotta go. I gotta get to work here. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Ciao.